Our daughter is dying. Will you help her?
What's it worth to you?
Anything.
Pediatric oncology floor, Atlanta. Ada, 8 years old, bald from chemo, lies in a hospital bed. Doctor tells Ifeoma, "We found a bone marrow match, Yoon Tae-young." Ifeoma's face goes white. "The man I sent to prison." Coffee shop, next day. Tae-young sits across from her, prison hardened, different. "Our daughter is dying. Will you help her?" "What's it worth to you?" "Anything." Public press conference. "Admit you wrongfully convicted me. Clear my name." Then I save her. She can't breathe. "That destroys my career." "I lost 5 years. You'll survive." Across the city, Korean herbal shop. Tae-young's mother, 70 years old, hangs up the phone with the hospital. Tae-young enters. "Mom, what did they say?" "I'm a match too. I'm donating." "No, at your age it's too dangerous. I rejected you for marrying a black woman, refused to meet Ada. Now she's dying and I can save her." She grabs his hands. "Let me fix what I broke." 2 days later, hospital ICU. His mother lies dying post-donation, machines beeping, breathing stops. Tae-young holds her hand, sobbing. She whispers, "Ada?" "Alive, the transplant worked." She smiles. "Good." Flatline. Ada's hospital room. Ifeoma sits with her daughter. "Your father's mother, she never met you, but she loved you enough to die for you." Ada's eyes fill with tears. "My Korean grandmother died saving me?" Filma nods. The door opens. Tae-young stands there. First time in Ada's room. Ada looks up. "Appa." He freezes. She knows Korean. She's been waiting for him. Ifeoma's phone buzzes. Text from her boss. "Don't do anything stupid regarding Yoon. Remember who built your career?" She looks at Ada, at Tae-young, at the impossible choice. The press conference, when? Tomorrow, noon. She stands, faces him. "I'll be there." Lovies, welcome to a story about a prosecutor who destroyed an innocent man and a grandmother who died saving a granddaughter she never met. Between two worlds beyond all borders, tonight we're serving you a tearjerker, a heartbreaker, and a game changer. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Atlanta, New York, Seoul? And lovies, if these stories move you, super thanks and memberships help us keep creating. But just being here means everything. Now do not click away, because what's about to happen? A mother choosing between pride and her daughter's life. A man who went to prison protecting the woman who prosecuted him. And a grandmother's ultimate sacrifice. Tell us, could you destroy your career to save your child? Because Ifeoma is about to show us what love really costs. Pediatric oncology, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Late afternoon light filtering through vertical blinds. Ifeoma Nwadik sat beside the exam table where Ada perched, 8 years old, legs swinging, Wonder Woman t-shirt hanging loose. 3 months of unexplained symptoms had led to this moment. The bruising, the exhaustion, the nosebleeds. The doctor pulled up test results on her tablet. Her expression was carefully neutral, which meant the news was devastating. "Ms. Nwadik, I'm sorry. The tests confirm acute lymphoblastic leukemia." The world stopped. "What does that mean?" Ada's voice was small but steady. The doctor knelt to Ada's level. "It means your body is making too many of one kind of blood cell, sweetie. We're going to fix it with medicine and eventually a bone marrow transplant." "How long?" Ifeoma's voice didn't sound like her own. "To find a match?" "We'll search the registry immediately. Given Ada's mixed heritage, African American and Korean, finding compatible HLA markers may take time. 6 to 8 weeks is our window." "And if we don't find one?" The doctor's silence answered everything. In the parking garage afterward, Ifeoma sat in the driver's seat, engine off, hands gripping the wheel. Ada was quiet in the back. "Mom?" "Yeah, baby?" "Could my dad be a match?" Ifeoma's breath stopped. "Why would you ask that?" "Because you never talk about him. But Grandma Nanena said he's Korean, and the doctor said my Korean genetics make matching hard. So, Maybe he could help. Ifeoma looked at her daughter in the rearview mirror, those intelligent dark eyes that saw too much. I don't know where your father is, Ada. A lie. She knew exactly where. Federal Correctional Institution, Edgefield, South Carolina. 18 more months on his sentence. The sentence she'd helped give him. That night after Ada fell asleep, Ifeoma's mind went to the places she'd forbidden herself to go for 5 years. She'd met Yoon Tai-yang 10 years ago at the Nigerian Cultural Festival in Piedmont Park. She'd been 22, fresh out of Spelman, helping her mother and grandmother set up the Igbo art exhibition. Her grandmother, Obiahele, had been teaching festival visitors about traditional masks and textiles, passionate about cultural preservation even then. Ifeoma had been arranging a display when she'd heard someone speaking Korean behind her. She'd turned to see a man, maybe 25, tall with dark, intense eyes, sketching the festival stage. He looked up, caught her staring. Sorry, I designed the stage, just checking the structural integrity. She'd moved closer, looking at his sketch. You designed this? It's beautiful. Like Korean temple architecture, but modern. His expression had shifted, surprised. You know Korean architecture? My roommate at Spelman was Korean American. Her family took me to Seoul one summer. The temples were incredible. She'd extended her hand. Ifeoma Nwadike. Yoon Tai-yang. They talked for 3 hours. Architecture and cultural preservation and how cities destroyed their heritage. He'd shown her sketches of buildings that blended Korean and African design elements. She'd challenged his assumptions. He'd challenged hers. By the end of the festival, he'd asked for her number. She'd said yes without hesitation. Her grandmother hadn't been pleased. Ifeoma, focus on law school, and when you're ready to date, find a nice Igbo boy. But she'd already been falling. 2 years together, him building his architecture career, her in law school at Emory. They defied both families' expectations. His mother, Miran, had wanted him to marry Korean. Her grandmother had wanted Igbo. They'd chosen each other anyway. The proposal had been perfect. Rooftop of a building he'd designed, string lights and traditional decorations from both cultures, a ring he'd commissioned custom, Igbo coral beads woven with Korean jade. She'd cried saying yes. 2 months later, she discovered she was pregnant, unplanned but joyful. They'd moved the wedding date up, started planning their future. He'd just made junior partner at his firm. She was finishing her first year of law school. Everything was falling into place. Then came the night that changed everything. Their apartment in Virginia Highland. Ifeoma was 8 weeks pregnant, just starting to feel nauseous in the mornings. She'd made dinner, jollof rice the way her mother had taught her, kimchi the way his mother had shown her, fusion cooking for their fusion life. But Tae-yang had barely eaten. He'd been distracted all evening, checking his phone, staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. You okay? She'd asked. Yeah, just work stuff. Want to talk about it? He'd set down his fork, looked at her for a long moment, then stood, came around the table, pulled her up into his arms. I love you, Ifeoma. You know that, right? Of course I know that. What's wrong? Nothing. No matter what happens, I need you to remember that. I love you. I love our baby. Everything I do is to protect you both. She'd laughed, thinking he was being dramatic about fatherhood fears. You're going to be a great dad. Stop worrying. He'd kissed her forehead, held the kiss longer than usual. When he'd pulled back, his eyes had been wet. Promise me you'll remember, no matter what. Tae-yang, you're scaring me. Promise me. Okay, I promise. The next morning, she'd been making breakfast when someone had pounded on the door. Federal agents. Arrest warrant for Yoon Tai-yang. Embezzlement, wire fraud, money laundering. $2.3 million. She'd watched them handcuff him, read him his rights. He'd looked at her once, and his expression had been that same one from the night before. Like he'd known. Like he'd been saying goodbye. I'm sorry, was all he'd said before they'd led him away. Ifeoma's supervisor at the DA's office, Roland Hartwick, had called her in 3 days later. Older man, white, 30 years in prosecution, treated her like a daughter. I know this is devastating, Ifeoma, but the evidence against Yoon is substantial. We need to move forward. I can't be involved. Conflict of interest. I understand, but consider this. If you recuse yourself, people will assume you're protecting him. You're a young black woman in a field dominated by white men. You can't afford questions about your integrity. He's the father of my baby. Which is exactly why you need to prove justice matters more than personal feelings. Look at the evidence yourself. If it clears him, we drop charges. But if he's guilty, she'd looked. Bank records showing systematic transfers through shell companies Tae-young controlled. Emails with his signature. Testimony from co-workers describing his access to accounts. Everything pointed to guilt. She'd visited him in jail. 4 months pregnant. Did you do this? He looked at her through the glass partition, phone pressed to his ear. The evidence says I did. That's not an answer. What do you want me to say, Ifeoma? Tell me you're innocent. Tell me you'll fight this. He'd been quiet for so long. Then, I'm pleading guilty. Why? Because it's better this way. Better for who? For you. For our baby. He'd looked at her stomach. Take care of yourself. That's all that matters. He'd hung up. The trial had destroyed her. 7 months pregnant, standing at the prosecutor's table, presenting evidence against the father of her child, calling witnesses, showing the jury money trails, building a case against the man she loved. Tae-young's defense had been weak. His lawyer had tried creating reasonable doubt, but had no alternative theory, no evidence of who else could have done it. And Tae-young himself had barely testified, giving short answers, never really defending himself. The jury had deliberated 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. 5 years federal prison. She'd watched the guards lead him away in chains. He looked back once, not angry, just resigned, like he'd expected this all along. She'd given birth to Ada 2 months later, sent him photos and a letter. He never responded. After a year of silence, she'd stopped trying. She'd raised Ada alone, built her career, became one of the youngest senior prosecutors in the office. Hartwick had mentored her, praised her integrity, recommended her for promotions. And she'd buried the doubt, the questions, the memory of him saying, no matter what happens, remember I love you. Until today. When the registry coordinator had called, Ms. Nwadik, we found a perfect match for Ada. Yoon Tae-yang. He was released from custody 2 months ago. He's in Atlanta and willing to donate. The phone had slipped from her hand. Now, sitting in darkness, she stared at her phone. She had to call him, had to ask the man she'd sent to prison to save their daughter. Before she could, it rang. Unknown number. Ifeoma, it's Tae-young. His voice, deeper, harder. She couldn't speak. The registry called me yesterday about Ada, the leukemia. A pause. I know you need me. Yes, barely a whisper. She needs a transplant. You're the only match. I know. 5 years of silence hung between them. I'll donate. I'll save her. But I have one condition. Her stomach dropped. What? Public press conference. You admit you wrongfully convicted me. Full exoneration. My record cleared. Before I donate. You're holding our daughter hostage. No, I'm asking for what you should have given me 5 years ago. The truth. I convicted you based on evidence. Fabricated by your mentor. The room spun. What? Roland Hartwick framed me. 3 days before trial, he visited me in jail. Said if I fought the charges, he'd investigate you for being complicit. Take your law license, make sure our baby was born to a mother under criminal investigation. He gave me a choice. 5 years in prison or destroy your life. That's not... I chose you, Ifeoma. I chose to let you hate me so you could have a career and raise our daughters safely. Remember what I said that last night? No matter what happens, remember I love you? I was saying goodbye. Tears streamed down her face. How do I know this isn't manipulation? Ask your grandmother, Obia Heli. 3 years ago, Hartwick confessed everything to her. Thought her cancer made her senile. She recorded it all. The line went dead. Ifeoma sat frozen, her mentor. the man who'd been like a father. Impossible. But he'd mentioned Obiaheli. Her grandmother was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She dialed with shaking hands. Lovey! Obiaheli's voice was weak but sharp. It's late. Is Ada okay? Mama Obi. Ifeoma's voice broke. Do you have a recording of Roland Hartwick? Silence. Long enough that Ifeoma thought the call had dropped. Then, I was wondering when you'd finally ask me about that. Obiaheli's house in southwest Atlanta smelled like tiger balm and incense. Ifeoma sat on the worn couch, her grandmother in the wheelchair across from her, oxygen tank hissing softly. You want to hear it? Obiaheli asked. The recording of Hartwick. Her grandmother's hands shook, pulling out her phone. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer had ravaged her body for 3 years, but her eyes were sharp as ever. She pressed play. Roland Hartwick's voice filled the room, slightly slurred from alcohol, but unmistakably him. Mrs. Nwadik, I need to confess something. The cancer. They say you might not remember tomorrow. Maybe that makes you the perfect confessor. Obiaheli's voice on the recording, weaker. What is it, Mr. Hartwick? That Korean boy, Yoon Tae-yang. I framed him. Ifeoma stopped breathing. I embezzled that money myself. 2.3 million over 18 months. Used his access codes, forged his signatures, made it look perfect. When the audit started closing in, I needed someone to take the fall. He was ideal. Young, immigrant, engaged to a black woman his firm didn't love anyway. Easy target. Why are you telling me this? Because I threatened him. Visited him in jail 3 days before trial. Told him if he fought the charges, I'd destroy Ifeoma. Investigate her for conspiracy, take her law license, make sure their baby was born to a mother facing criminal charges. I gave him a choice. 5 years in prison protecting the woman he loved, or freedom while watching me destroy her. And he chose prison. He chose her, stupid kid. Took the fall without a fight. Let Ifeoma prosecute him because I convinced her it proved her integrity. I used her love for justice to make her the weapon that destroyed him. It was perfect. Beautiful even. The recording stopped. The silence in the room was crushing. Ifeoma couldn't move, couldn't think. The voice of the man who'd been like a father to her, casually describing how he'd destroyed 3 lives. When? Her voice cracked. When did he tell you this? 3 years ago. He came here drunk after a fundraiser, needing to confess to someone. Thought my cancer made me senile, that I wouldn't remember or wouldn't be believed. Obiaheli's smile was bitter. I was lucid, and I recorded every word. Why didn't you tell me? Because Tae-yang was still in prison. I needed him out first, baby. Needed him free so this recording could actually give him his life back. She leaned forward. I've been dying slowly for 3 years, waiting for the right moment. Waiting for you to be ready to hear this. Ifeoma stood, paced to the window. Everything she'd built, every conviction, every case, every moment of pride, all constructed on Hartwick's lies. He'd used her, made her destroy an innocent man, the father of her child. And Tae-yang had let her, had gone to prison for 5 years to protect her. I need to go. Her mother's house in Decatur was 20 minutes away. And Nena answered the door looking exhausted, 58 but aging faster lately, silver streaking her hair, movements careful. Ifeoma collapsed into her mother's arms and told her everything. The recording, Hartwick's confession, Tae-yang's sacrifice. Nena held her, then led her to the kitchen table. I knew, and Nena said quietly. What? I knew he was innocent. Not at first, but 2 years into his sentence, I started investigating. I'm a documentary filmmaker, Lovey. I know how to research. She paused. I found inconsistencies, witnesses who'd been pressured, financial records that didn't align. But I couldn't prove it legally, couldn't tell you because if you'd investigated openly, Hartwick would have destroyed you. So you just let me think I'd convicted a guilty man? I let you build your career. While you were building your career, I searched for proof. Inena's hand trembled, reaching for her teacup. The tremor was new. There's something else you need to know. She led Ifeoma to her office, opened a computer folder labeled, For Ada. Open when? 47 video files. I have ALS, Nena said, her voice steady but her hands shaking. Diagnosed 4 months ago, early stage, 6 to 24 months before I lose the ability to speak, 2 to 5 years total. The room tilted. Mom, I'm recording videos for Ada, for you. Everything I want to say before I can't say it anymore. She clicked one file. Video 23, to my daughter when you learn the truth about Taeyang. On screen, Nena from 3 months ago looked at the camera. Ifeoma, if you're watching this, you know Taeyang was innocent. I investigated for years, found evidence of Hartwick's corruption, but not enough to free Taeyang legally. I'm sorry I couldn't prove it sooner, but I need you to know something. He loved you enough to go to prison. That kind of love doesn't die. You loved him enough to break when you thought he'd betrayed you. That kind of love doesn't die either. Forgive him. Forgive yourself. Give Ada the father who sacrificed everything to protect you both. The video ended. Ifeoma was sobbing. Her mother had ALS, was documenting her voice before the disease stole it, was leaving behind 47 messages for the granddaughter she wouldn't see grow up. I won't be here for Ada's teenage years, Nena said. Won't see her graduate or get married or have children. But I can leave her my voice, my wisdom, everything I need to say while I still can. That night, Ifeoma sat in her car outside a park trying to process everything breaking inside her. A knock on her window made her jump. Darius, the man who'd been around for months. She rolled down the window. Why are you following me? I'm not following you. I'm protecting you. He held up his phone. Taeyang hired me 2 months ago. Day he got out of prison. First thing he did was make sure you and Ada were safe. Safe from what? From Hartwick. Taeyang knew if he started investigating the case, trying to clear his name, Hartwick might come after you to silence him. He showed her text messages. Instructions from Taeyang sent 2 months ago. Photos of Ada at school, smiling, healthy. He's been following her life from outside. Couldn't be part of it, but couldn't stay away. Ifeoma stared at the photos, her daughter, being watched over by a father she'd never met. He never stopped loving you, Darius said quietly. The next morning, Ifeoma went to the DA's office late when the building was mostly empty. She pulled her case against Yoon Taeyang from the archives. Reading it now, the inconsistencies screamed. Dates on documents didn't match Taeyang's travel schedule. Signatures she'd never questioned. Email headers showing forwarding from administrator accounts. She pulled more files. Other cases Hardwick had personally assigned to junior prosecutors over the years. 13 cases total with the same pattern. Convenient defendants, weak defenses, plea deals. Evidence that looked airtight but had subtle flaws nobody questioned because Hartwick was respected, trusted, beyond suspicion. Hartwick had been doing this for years, framing people, destroying lives, building his career on lies. And she'd been his weapon at least once. Her phone buzzed. Meet me. I need to show you everything. Taeyang. An address in East Atlanta. She drove there, knocked. He opened the door immediately. 5 years older, prison hardened, broader, more guarded. But his eyes were the same. Come in. The apartment was sparse, but the walls told a story. Newspaper clippings about her cases, her promotions, awards she'd won, and photos, hundreds of photos. Ada at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, school pictures, park candids, birthday parties. Where did you get these? Darius, I hired him to protect you, but also to let me see her grow up. His voice was rough. Even from prison, I needed to know she was okay, that you both were. He sent photos. I kept every single one. Ifeoma touched a photo. Ada's 6th birthday, Wonder Woman costume. Why did you plead guilty? I heard the recording. I know he threatened you. But why didn't you tell me? Because if I had, you would have fought him, and he would have destroyed you. Taeyang moved closer but didn't touch her. You were pregnant, vulnerable. I couldn't let him hurt you or Ada. 5 years seemed like nothing compared to protecting you both. 5 years is everything. Ada grew up without a father. I know what I lost. Pain cracked through his voice. Her first steps, first words, first day of school, learning to ride a bike, being scared at night, Needing her dad. I lost all of it, but she was safe. You were safe. That mattered more. Ifeoma's eyes fell on pill bottles, PTSD medication, sleep aids. He saw her looking. Prison isn't kind, especially when you won't fight back. I didn't defend myself, didn't join a gang, just survived. He paused. Came out with scars. Most you can't see. She saw him now, really saw him. The nightmares, the hypervigilance, the way he positioned himself between her and the door even in his own apartment. A memory surfaced. Something she needed to understand fully. The flashback hit her like a wave. Federal holding facility. 5 years ago, 3 days before trial. Taeyang sat alone in a concrete interrogation room when the door opened. Roland Hartwick walked in. No lawyer present. No witnesses. Just the two of them. Mr. Yoon. We need to talk. Taeyang looked up, confused. Why are you here? To offer you a choice. Hartwick sat down, casual, confident. You're going to plead guilty tomorrow. I'm not guilty. The evidence says otherwise. But here's what you don't understand. Hartwick leaned forward. If you fight this, if you go to trial and force me to prosecute you publicly, I will destroy Ifeoma. Taeyang's face went cold. What? I'll investigate her for conspiracy, suggest she helped you embezzle, knew about it, benefited from it. I'll take her law license before she even gets it. Make sure your baby is born to a mother facing criminal charges, being investigated, humiliated publicly in every newspaper in Atlanta. Hartwick's smile was cruel. Or you plead guilty. Take 5 years. I'll mentor Ifeoma personally, build her career, make sure she and your daughter have everything. Your choice. You're threatening my pregnant fiancé. I'm giving you options. Fight me and watch me destroy the woman you love and your unborn child, or take 5 years and protect them both. Hartwick stood. You have until tomorrow to decide, but we both know what you're going to choose because you love her. Taeyang had sat there, 27 years old, about to become a father, staring at an impossible choice. Freedom and watch Ifeoma destroyed, or prison and keep her safe. He looked at Hartwick and made his decision. I'll plead guilty. The memory faded. Ifeoma was crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. That I believed. You believed the evidence. Hartwick was good at what he did. Taeyang finally reached out, touched her arm gently. I don't blame you. I never did. I just need my name back now. For Ada. So when I meet her, she knows her father isn't a criminal. That night, Ifeoma couldn't sleep. She went to Ada's room to check on her, make sure she was breathing okay. The moonlight through the window caught something under Ada's bed. A shoebox. Ifeoma pulled it out, opened it. Letters. Hundreds of letters. All addressed, Dear Appa. Her hands shook as she read. Dear Appa, I'm 6 today. Mom made me a cake. I wish you were here. Dear Appa, Grandma Nanena told me you're in a place far away, but you love me. Is that true? Dear Appa, Mom cried again today. She thinks I don't see, but I do. I think you must be good because Mom is sad. Bad people don't make good people sad. Dear Appa, I'm 8 now. I haven't sent these letters because I don't know where you are, but I'm keeping them for when I meet you. I have 200 now. That's a lot of love. Dear Appa, I'm sick. The doctors say I need something called bone marrow. I don't know what that is, but I hope you're okay wherever you are. I forgive you for being away. Sometimes people have to be away. It doesn't mean they don't love you. Ifeoma sat on Ada's floor sobbing silently. Her daughter had known, had been writing to a father she'd never met for 3 years, had forgiven him, had been waiting. And Ifeoma had kept them apart. The next day, Taeyang took her to meet his mother. Miran's herbal shop in Duluth smelled like ginseng and dried roots. The 70-year-old woman looked at Ifeoma with cold eyes. You sent my son to prison. Mom, Taeyang started. Let her answer. Yes, Ifeoma said. I prosecuted him. I didn't know he was innocent. Didn't know he sacrificed 5 years to protect me. But I know now, and I'm trying to make it right. Miran studied her, then pulled out a photo from behind the counter. Ada's school picture from this year. My son sends me pictures. This is my granddaughter. Her voice softened. She has my mother's eyes. She turned to Ifeoma. I told my son not to marry a black woman, to find a nice Korean girl. I was wrong. She paused. The hospital called yesterday. I got tested. I am also a bone marrow match for Ada. You don't have to. She is my blood. I never met her because I was stubborn and proud. Now she is dying and I can save her. Miran's eyes were fierce. This is not obligation. This is choice. I choose her. At 70, the procedure is dangerous. I lived 70 years. She lived 8. If my marrow gives her 70 more, it is worth everything. That evening, Hartwick showed up at Ifeoma's house unannounced. I heard Yuna's back in town. He stood on her porch like he had every right. I wanted to make sure you're being careful. Careful of what? Men like that hold grudges. He went to prison because of you. He might try to manipulate you. Use Ada's illness for revenge. Ifeoma felt fury rising. This monster standing here pretending to care. Why would he want revenge? Because you prosecuted him. Surely you see he might resent that. Or maybe he's trying to save our daughter. Hartwick's expression shifted. Our daughter. You're spending time with him. He's the bone marrow match. I see. His voice cooled. Be careful, Ifeoma. Remember who mentored you, who built your career. Don't throw that away for a man who committed crimes. After he left, her phone buzzed. Don't trust anything he says. He's trying to control you still. He knows you're investigating. Be careful, lovey. Ifeoma watched Hartwick's car pull away. The man who'd been like a father was circling like a predator. And she was done being his prey. Obi Akele's hospital room smelled like antiseptic and death. The stage 4 pancreatic cancer that had been eating at her for 3 years was finally winning. She'd held on longer than any doctor predicted, but her body was shutting down. Ifeoma sat beside her grandmother's bed, holding her hand. Obi Akele's skin was paper thin, her breathing labored even with the oxygen mask. Lovey, Obi Akele's voice was barely a whisper. How much time before the press conference? 3 days, Mama Obi. We're still planning. I don't have 3 days. She pulled the oxygen mask aside. I have maybe 11, 12 if I'm stubborn. Ifeoma's throat closed. Don't say that. I held on this long to see Hartwick arrested. Don't let me die without witnessing justice. Obi Akele reached for something on her bedside table. The recording device. Everything you need is here. Passwords, backup files, original recording. Take it. Ifeoma took the small device, her hands shaking. I fought my whole life, baby. Freedom rider in the 60s. Arrested 4 times in Mississippi. Beat by police in Alabama. I didn't survive racism and violence to watch a white man destroy my family with lies. Her eyes were fierce despite the weakness. You finish this. You make him pay. I will, Mama Obi. Tell Ada her great-grandmother loved her fiercely. Tell her we are fighters. Nwadik women don't surrender. I'll tell her. Obi Akele closed her eyes. Now go. I need to rest for the show. That night, alone in her apartment after Ada fell asleep, Ifeoma listened to the recording again. Hartwick's voice filled the room. Every word was a knife. She thought back to every conversation she'd had with him over 5 years. The mentoring sessions in his office. His advice when she'd been pregnant and scared. His praise when she'd won cases. His fatherly pride at her promotions. All of it manipulation. He'd groomed her to be his weapon. Celebrated her success because it validated his frame-up had worked. Used her love of justice to make her destroy an innocent man. She remembered him visiting her in the hospital after Ada was born, holding her daughter, saying she's beautiful, Ifeoma. You should be proud. You chose duty over personal feelings. That's real integrity. While knowing he'd framed Ada's father, while knowing Taeyang was in prison protecting them, every kind word had been poison. The next morning, Ifeoma drove to her mother's house. Nenena answered the door, her hand tremor worse than last week. Her speech was slightly slurred now, words taking effort. Lovey, come in. They sat in the office. Nena pulled up a video file. number 47. My final words before silence. She clicked play. On screen, Nena from 2 days ago looked directly at the camera. Her hand was steadier in the recording, her speech clearer, but the exhaustion showed in her eyes. Ifeoma Ada, if you're watching this, I've lost the ability to speak clearly. ALS is taking my voice. The doctors say I have 2 to 4 weeks before my speech becomes unintelligible. After that, maybe 18 months before I can't communicate at all. Nena on screen took a breath. I need you both to know this. Fighting for truth costs everything. I've spent my life documenting injustices, giving voice to the voiceless. And now I'm losing my own voice. But I got to use it while I had it. That matters. Ifeoma, destroy Hartwick. Make him pay for what he did to your family. Ada, baby, your grandmother loves you more than words can say. I'm so proud of the fighter you're becoming. Both of you, be fierce, be strong, and know that I loved you with everything I had. The video ended. Nena, sitting beside her daughter, was crying. I have days, lovey, maybe 2 weeks if I'm lucky. After that, this disease steals my words. But I got to say what mattered. That's all anyone can ask. Ifeoma held her mother, both of them breaking. That afternoon, Ada called Ifeoma into her hospital room. She was weak but alert, sitting up in bed. Mom, why were you crying on the phone last night? Ifeoma tried to deflect. Just stressed, baby, work stuff. Is it about Appa? About my dad? Ifeoma froze. How do you know about your father? Ada reached under her hospital bed, pulled out the shoebox. Grandma and Nena told me the truth 3 years ago. I've been writing to him. She handed a letter to Ifeoma. Read this one. Ifeoma's hands shook opening it. Dear Appa, I'm 8 now. I know you're innocent. Grandma told me what really happened. Mom doesn't know I know, but I do. When I get better, can we be a family? I forgive you for being away. I understand now. Love, Ada. Tears streamed down Ifeoma's face. Ada looked at her mother with eyes too old for 8 years. I'm sick, Mom. The doctors say I might die without a transplant. I don't have time for adults to waste being angry at each other. She paused. I forgive you both for the mistakes. Now you need to forgive each other so we can save me. The door opened. Tae-young stood there, having just arrived for his donor consultation. Ada looked at both her parents. I forgive you, Mom, for not knowing the truth. I forgive you, Appa, for staying away to protect us. Now forgive each other. Child wisdom destroying adult pride. 2 days before the press conference, Ifeoma's apartment became a war room. Ifeoma, Tae-young, Nena via video call from home, conserving energy. Obiageli via video from her hospital bed, oxygen mask on. And 2 new allies. Cameron Hartwick walked in first, 34, corporate lawyer, expensive suit. He had his father's sharp features, but kind eyes. Thank you for trusting me, he said. I know my last name doesn't inspire confidence. Why are you helping us? Ifeoma asked. Because my father destroyed my mother. Cameron's voice was steady, but pain bled through. His abuse, his lies, his control. She died when I was 16 because of what he did to her. I've been waiting 18 years to take him down. I'm a lawyer. I've been documenting his corruption for years, but I needed someone brave enough to go public. He laid out files, financial records, witness statements, pattern analysis of the 13 wrongful convictions. I can testify I have evidence of his embezzlement going back 20 years, but we need your recording and your voice to make it stick. The second person arrived. FBI Special Agent Maria Torres, late 40s, sharp, professional. Nena and I go back 15 years, she said, nodding at the video screen. When she told me about this case 2 years ago, I started a quiet investigation. We couldn't move without solid evidence. Now we have it. They planned the press conference like a military operation. Ifeoma would announce her campaign for district attorney. A lie, but it would bring Hartwick out. He'd attend thinking he was being celebrated as her mentor. Mid-speech, she'd play Obiageli's recording publicly. FBI would arrest him on live television. Cameron would testify. Other wrongful conviction victims would come forward. They had one shot. It had to be perfect. That night, Miran sat in her empty apartment in Duluth, staring at a piece of paper. The hospital had confirmed it 2 weeks ago after her test. She was a perfect bone marrow match for Ada. At 70 years old, she could save her granddaughter. She called the hospital from a burner phone. I want to schedule the donation tomorrow night, and I don't want my family notified until after. The doctor's voice was concerned. Mrs. Yoon, you understand the risks at your age? 40% chance of complications, 15% mortality rate. I understand. Why the secrecy? Because if I tell them, they'll try to stop me. And my son already lost 5 years for love. I can risk my life for my granddaughter. She hung up, wrote a note, left it on her kitchen table where Tae-young would find it. The next day, the hospital room held 4 generations. Ada in her bed, weak but fighting. Ifeoma beside her. Nenena in a chair, hand trembling, speech slurred but present. Obiaheli in her wheelchair, oxygen tank hissing, barely conscious but refusing to miss this. 3 generations of Nwadika women, all facing death or disease or career destruction. Obiaheli reached out, touched Ada's hand. Baby girl, your great-grandma fought for civil rights so you could exist. Arrested, beat. But I never quit. Her voice was barely audible. Your grandma is documenting her voice before this disease steals it, leaving you her wisdom even when she can't speak. Your mama is about to destroy her career to save you. We are fighters, Ada. Nwadike women don't surrender. You fight too. Ada's eyes filled with tears. I will, great-grandma. I promise. Tae-young stood in the doorway with his mother. Miran saw the 3 generations of women, saw her granddaughter for the first time in person, and something in her face softened completely. She walked to Ada's bedside, took her hand. My granddaughter. You have my mother's eyes. She looked at Obiaheli, at Nenena, at Ifeoma. I was wrong to reject this family. You are all fighters. I am honored to stand with you. That night, while everyone slept, Miran left her apartment. She'd left the note on the kitchen table. By morning, they'd find it. By the time you read this, I will be in surgery. I am donating my bone marrow to Ada. If I don't survive, tell her I chose love over fear. Tell my son I'm proud of the man he became despite everything. Tell Ifeoma I'm sorry I rejected her. This donation is my apology. This is how I fix what I broke. She went to the hospital alone, signed the consent forms, let them prep her for surgery. The procedure took 4 hours. The transplant for Ada went perfectly. The marrow took immediately. But 30 minutes after surgery, Miran's heart rate dropped. Her blood pressure crashed. Complications. The doctors stabilized her, but she was critical. Moved to ICU ventilator. Organs beginning to fail. Morning came. Tae-young woke up to his phone ringing. 20 missed calls from the hospital. He drove to his mother's apartment, found the note, raced to the hospital. ICU. Miran on a ventilator. Machines breathing for her. Monitors beeping. The doctor met him outside the room. The transplant was successful. Ada is recovering well, but your mother's body couldn't handle the stress. Her organs are failing. We've got her stabilized, but she has maybe 24 to 48 hours. Tae-young walked into the room. His mother looked so small in the hospital bed, 70 years old. Gave her bone marrow to save a granddaughter she'd rejected. Dying because she'd chosen love over fear. He held her hand. She opened her eyes slightly, couldn't speak with the ventilator. She gestured weakly for paper and pen. He gave it to her. Her hands shaking, she wrote 3 words. Go, finish this. For Ada. He looked at her, torn. The press conference was in 2 hours. The moment they'd been planning for. The chance to clear his name, expose Hartwick, get justice. But his mother was dying. She wrote again, more forcefully. Go. He kissed her forehead. I love you, Mom. Thank you for saving her. He left the ICU. Across the hospital in the pediatric ward, Ada was recovering. The transplant had worked. She was alive, getting stronger. Ifeoma sat beside her daughter's bed, holding her hand, watching her breathe easier than she had in months. Her phone buzzed. Text from Taeyang. Mom donated last night. Transplant worked. She's in ICU dying. Press conference in 2 hours. I'm going. For Ada. For Mom. For us. Ifeoma looked at her sleeping daughter. At the IV in her arm delivering her grandmother's bone marrow. At the life being saved by a woman who'd chosen sacrifice over pride. She texted back, I'll be there. Let's finish this. In her hospital room, Obiaheli lay barely conscious, fighting to stay alive 11 more days, just long enough to see Hartwick arrested. At home, Nina recorded video number 48, her speech now noticeably slurred, knowing she had maybe a week of clear words left. And somewhere in Atlanta, Roland Hartwick was getting dressed for what he thought would be his protege's DA campaign announcement. He had no idea he was walking into an ambush. 2 hours until everything converged. One grandmother dying in ICU having given everything. One grandmother fighting stage 4 cancer to witness justice. One grandmother losing her voice to ALS. An 8-year-old recovering from transplant. A father choosing justice over his dying mother's bedside. A prosecutor about to destroy the man who built her career. This was it. Atlanta City Hall, press conference room packed with cameras and reporters, morning lights streaming through tall windows. Ifeoma stood backstage in a navy suit, looking every bit the future district attorney. Her hands were steady despite everything breaking inside her. In 2 hours, her career would be over. But Ada was alive. That's what mattered. Cameron stood beside her with 3 bankers' boxes of evidence. FBI agent Torres was in the crowd, undercover, ready. Taeyang slipped in through the back door, coming straight from the hospital where his mother lay dying. Their eyes met across the room. He nodded. She nodded back. In a hospital room across the city, Obiaheli watched on a tablet, oxygen mask on, barely conscious but refusing to miss this. 11 days. She'd held on 11 days to witness this moment. At home, Nina sat in front of her computer, live stream loading. Her hands shook badly now. Her speech was so slurred only Ifeoma could understand her anymore. But her eyes were sharp. In the pediatric ward, Ada watched on the phone her mother had given her, still weak from transplant but recovering. Her grandmother's bone marrow was working. She was going to live. The press coordinator signaled. Time. Ifeoma walked to the podium. Cameras flashed. Reporters quieted. Thank you for coming. Today I'm announcing my candidacy for District Attorney of Fulton County. Applause. Roland Hartwick sat in the front row, beaming with pride. His protege finally stepping into power. Everything he'd built, validated. I've learned from the best, Ifeoma continued. My mentor, District Attorney Roland Hartwick, taught me that justice requires integrity above all else. Hartwick stood, waved to the crowd. More applause. He was eating this up. He taught me to never let personal feelings interfere with my work truth, to follow evidence wherever it leads. She paused. Even when it destroys everything you thought you knew. Hartwick's smile faltered slightly, something in her tone. 5 years ago, I prosecuted a man for embezzlement, Yoon Tae-yang. The evidence seemed perfect. Bank records, emails, signatures. He pled guilty without fighting. I was 7 months pregnant with his child. I stood at that prosecutor's table and sent my daughter's father to federal prison. The room went silent. This wasn't a campaign announcement. Today I'm here to tell you the truth. Her voice was soft and gentle. He was innocent. And the real criminal is the man who mentored me. The man sitting in the front row right now. Hartwick's face went white. Ifeoma pressed play on the audio system. Her grandmother's voice filled the room. What is it, Mr. Hartwick? Then Hartwick's voice, slurred from alcohol, unmistakable. That Korean boy, Yoon Tae-yang, I framed him. The room exploded, cameras flashing like strobes, reporters shouting. Hartwick tried to stand. FBI agent Torres stepped into the aisle, blocking his exit. The recording continued. I embezzled that money myself, $2.3 million over 18 months, used his access codes, forged his signatures. When the audit started closing in, I needed a scapegoat. He was perfect, young, immigrant, engaged to a black woman his firm didn't love anyway. Hartwick was standing now trying to push past people. This is fabricated. I threatened him, his voice continued from the speakers. Visited him in jail 3 days before trial. Told him if he fought the charges, I'd destroy Ifeoma, investigate her for conspiracy, take her law license, make sure their baby was born to a mother facing criminal charges. I gave him a choice: 5 years in prison or watch me destroy the woman he loved. FBI agent Torres was moving toward Hartwick now, badge out. He chose her. Stupid kid. Took the fall without a fight. Let Ifeoma prosecute him because I convinced her it proved her integrity. I used her love for justice to make her the weapon that destroyed him. It was perfect. Beautiful even. The recording stopped. Hartwick was shouting now, incoherent, trapped, cameras everywhere. This was being broadcast live on 3 local stations. Cameron Hartwick stepped to the podium. My name is Cameron Hartwick. Roland Hartwick is my father. Gasps rippled through the crowd. 18 years ago, my mother died because of his abuse, his lies, his control. I've spent my career as a corporate attorney documenting his crimes, waiting for someone brave enough to go public. He gestured to the evidence boxes. These contain financial records, witness statements, and pattern analysis of 13 wrongful convictions my father orchestrated over 30 years. I'm here to testify against him. Hartwick tried to speak. FBI agent Torres reached him. Roland Hartwick, you're under arrest for embezzlement, conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. Handcuffs, click, click. Live on television. Cameras capturing everything. The man who'd built a career on lies being led away in chains. A representative from the governor's office took the podium next. Based on new evidence presented to the state of Georgia has been found to be in violation of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Governor Kemp hereby grants full pardon and exoneration to Yoon Tae-young, effective immediately. All convictions are vacated. His record is cleared. Tae-young stepped forward from the back of the room. Cameras swung to him. 5 years ago, I went to prison to protect the woman I loved and our unborn daughter, he said. His voice was rough with emotion. Roland Hartwick threatened to destroy Ifeoma if I fought the charges. So I didn't fight. I let her prosecute me. I let the world think I was a criminal because keeping her safe mattered more than my freedom. He paused, composing himself. Yesterday, my mother, Mi-ren Yoon, donated bone marrow to save our daughter's life. She's 70 years old. The procedure was high risk. Right now, she's dying in ICU from complications. But the transplant worked. Our daughter is alive. His voice cracked. My mother chose love over fear. She gave her life for a granddaughter she'd rejected for being half black. That's what real sacrifice looks like. Today, my name is cleared, but it cost my mother everything. Ifeoma stepped back to the podium. I prosecuted an innocent man. I was manipulated, but I still stood in that courtroom and destroyed the father of my child. I can't be district attorney. I can't hold power when I used it to hurt someone I loved. She looked directly at the cameras. Effective immediately, I resigned from the Fulton County District Attorney's office. Reporters erupted with questions. She ignored them all. Some battles are worth losing everything. My daughter is alive because 2 grandmothers sacrificed everything. I can sacrifice a career for truth. She walked off the stage, career destroyed, truth told, justice served. They all raced to the hospital. ICU, me ran on the ventilator, machines beeping, vitals dropping steadily. The doctor met them outside. Her organs are failing. She has minutes, maybe an hour. Ifeoma, Tae-young, and Ada in a wheelchair were allowed in together. Mi-ran's eyes opened when she saw Ada, the granddaughter she'd saved. Ada wheeled herself close, took Mi-ran's hand. Thank you, grandmother, for saving me, for choosing me. Mi-ran smiled, weakly reached for the notepad and pen on her bedside table, wrote with shaking hands, worth everything. Tae-young leaned close. Mom, Hartwick was arrested. On live television, handcuffs, the whole world saw. It's over. We won. Mi-ran's eyes lit up. She wrote again. Ada alive? Yes, the transplant worked perfectly. You saved her. She wrote one more thing. Good, then I did something right. She set down the pen, looked at her son, at Ifeoma, at Ada, whispered, barely audible. I'm proud of you all. The heart monitor's steady beat became a flatline. Peaceful, complete, sacrifice fulfilled. 11 days later. Federal courthouse, Hartwick's arraignment. The charges were read: embezzlement, conspiracy, fraud, obstruction of justice, witness tampering. 18 years federal prison recommended. Obiaheli sat in her wheelchair in the gallery, oxygen tank beside her, barely conscious, but present, witnessing. The judge looked down at Hartwick. Mr. Hartwick, you systematically destroyed innocent lives to cover your crimes. You manipulated young prosecutors. You framed 13 people. You are remanded to federal custody pending trial. Hartwick was led away in chains. Obiaheli watched, smiled, closed her eyes. That night, back in the hospital, Obiaheli surrounded by family. Nenena beside her, speech gone now, but eyes saying everything. Ifeoma holding one hand, Ada in her wheelchair holding the other. You did it, Mama, Ifeoma whispered. You saw justice. You can rest now. Obiaheli's voice was barely a breath. Tell Ada, we are fighters. I'll tell her. Mama Obi, Mwadiki women, don't surrender. Never. Peaceful death, mission complete. Freedom rider until the very end. 6 months later, a new office space in downtown Atlanta. Glass windows, modern furniture. A sign on the door, the Nomsa and Miran Justice Project. Ifeoma stood at the front of the room addressing a crowd of reporters, lawyers, and formerly incarcerated people. This foundation exists because two grandmothers gave everything. My mother, Nomsa Anena Nwadike, is fighting ALS. My daughter's Korean grandmother, Miran Yun, gave her life donating bone marrow. This is their legacy. Behind her, a wall of photos. Obiaheli as a young freedom rider, arrested but defiant. Miran in her herbal shop, smiling. Both grandmothers honored. Our mission is simple. Exonerate the wrongfully convicted. Reform prosecutorial standards. Make sure what happened to Yoon Tae-young never happens again. She gestured to the team. Tae-young Yoon, our director of operations. Cameron Hartwick, our lead attorney. Darius Cole, our head of security. Together, we've already secured the release of one of Roland Hartwick's victims. We're working on the other 12. Ada, hair growing back in soft curls, recovering beautifully, cut the ribbon at the entrance. Flash forward, 8 years later. Ada at 16, sitting at a kitchen table, college application essays spread out. Essay prompt, who inspires you and why? She wrote, 2 grandmothers I never really knew saved my life. Miran Yun died donating bone marrow when I was 8. Obiaheli Nwadike held on through stage 4 cancer to see justice served, then died peacefully. My other grandmother, Enena, lost her voice to ALS, but left me 47 videos of wisdom before silence came. She paused, thinking. They taught me that love isn't about convenience. It's about sacrifice. Miran rejected my mother for being black, then died saving me. Obiaheli fought racism her whole life as a freedom rider, then fought to clear my father's name. Nena documented truth as a filmmaker, then documented her own voice before disease stole it. My parents lost everything for truth. My father spent 5 years in prison protecting my pregnant mother. My mother destroyed her career, admitting she'd wrongfully convicted him. They taught me that some battles are worth losing everything. I want to be a defense attorney. I want to protect the innocent the way my father needed protection. I want to honor the grandmothers who gave me life twice, once at birth, once at 8 years old when cancer tried to take it back. College acceptance letter arrived 3 weeks later. Emory Law School, full scholarship. She called her parents, crying with joy. Lovies, if this story wrecked you, if you felt every moment of sacrifice, hit that like button right now. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? We bring you stories between two worlds beyond all borders that show you what real love costs. Comment below. Could you sacrifice your career for truth? Would you give your life for a grandchild you never met? Your voice matters here. And lovies, if this story touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to know that sacrifice isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing we can do. Sometimes the people who die become unforgettable. Now let's finish what we started. Saturday afternoon, cemetery outside Atlanta. 2 graves side by side under an oak tree. Mi Ran Yoon, 1954 to 2024. Chose love over fear. Obiageli Nwadique, 1950 to 2024. Freedom fighter until the end. Ada stood between them, 16 and healthy and alive. She placed fresh flowers on both graves, pulled out her violin, played a Korean folk song, Mi Ran's favorite, the one her son had told Ada about. Behind her, watching from a distance, Efeoma and Taeyong stood together. Married 7 years now, wedding rings catching the sunlight. They'd married quietly, no ceremony, just truth and love and partnership earned through fire. Nena sat in her wheelchair beside them. 8 years with ALS. She couldn't speak anymore, couldn't walk, but her eyes communicated everything. Pride, love, fierce joy that her granddaughter was alive and thriving. Ada finished playing, turned to face the graves. I got into Emory Law, grandmothers. Full scholarship. I'm going to be a defense attorney. I'm going to protect people the way Appa needed protection, the way you protected all of us. She touched both headstones. You taught me that some people are worth dying for. I'm going to spend my life making sure your sacrifice meant something. The wind rustled the oak leaves, peaceful, complete. Ada turned to walk back to her family. Stopped, looked directly ahead as if seeing something beyond the cemetery. My grandmothers taught me that sacrifice isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing we can do. That truth costs everything, but silence costs more. That love isn't about what's easy. It's about what's right. She smiled. I'm Adeza Nwadique Yoon. My name means princess in Igbo, and my last name honors both sides of my family. I'm alive because 4 people sacrificed everything, and I'm going to make sure the world never forgets them. Screen fades to black, in memory of those who sacrifice everything for the next generation.